The divisional round of the 2025 playoffs are officially in the books, and my God, this was an awesome set of games. So in today's video, we are going to be reacting to every single game of the divisional round. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new and do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with the Denver Broncos defeating the Buffalo Bills 33-30 in overtime. So let's start off by talking about the Buffalo Bills side of things here, because I think that's kind of where more of the story lies here in terms of what might happen in the offseason. Obviously, from a moving forward standpoint, the Bo Nix injury is going to be a large conversation we'll have about Denver, but to focus it here on the Buffalo Bills, I'm really intrigued to see what they do this offseason. Obviously, you have your quarterback in Josh Allen, but do you fire Sean McDermott after a game in which, let's be honest, McDermott didn't really lose them the game? Now, does McDermott have his flaws and have his faults? 1000%. I could definitely point to a thing here and there that maybe could have turned this game around. But when your team has 5 total turnovers, a lot of those being on your star quarterback Josh Allen, I mean, how can you put the blame on Sean McDermott? Unfortunately for McDermott, I could see a world where Buffalo sort of is just trying to find a scapegoat and they say, Sean, you're the scapegoat here. We're going to try to change things up and we're going to put the blame on you. When in reality, it wasn't really his fault. It was actually his quarterback's fault, if anything. Now, not every single play that was bad was Josh Allen's fault, but let's be honest, this is probably the worst game we've seen from Josh Allen in the playoffs, at least off the top of my head. 5 turnovers in this one. Again, not all on Josh Allen. Some were, just crazy plays, but still, 5 turnovers are 5 turnovers. Outside of the turnovers, though, the Bills were playing very, very good in this one versus a really great defense. 449 total yards, 10 of 15 on third down. They scored over 30 points. Had they not had the 5 total turnovers, I think the Buffalo Bills handle this game and probably win it in regulation. But they had the turnovers, and Denver was able to capitalize and kind of hang in there and fight and fight and fight. And then when they got into the fourth quarter, the Denver Broncos got this thing into overtime. And then, of course, in the overtime, the Bills just didn't really have anything going for them, and the Broncos were able to get the game-winning field goal. So I really wonder what is going to be in store for Buffalo. I think that if there's ever a time for Buffalo to do an all-in sort of transition period, it would be this offseason. Maybe that is hiring a new head coach. Maybe that is bringing in some new weapons on the outside. Maybe that is changing things up on the defense. I would expect the Buffalo Bills to have quite the aggressive offseason to try and get this team back on track because, look, the AFC is still going to be quite open next year. The Chiefs have a lot of flaws that they're not going to be able to fix in one offseason. Now, I expect the Chiefs to be back next year and be really good, but I don't know if they're going to be in the AFC Championship game or if they're going to win the AFC. Baltimore has their issues, and look, New England's still a young football team. Denver still has some flaws themselves, and Houston has flaws themselves too. So if you're Buffalo, if you have a really good offseason where you get a wide receiver 1, add some pieces in the secondary, you shore up the defensive line, you add a nice stud linebacker, something along those lines, you can see Buffalo back in the conversation. The scary thing is, if I'm a Buffalo fan, is we've kind of had this same conversation multiple years in a row where it's like, we're really close. We have some pieces here. We have the quarterback, but every year it's the what ifs. It's this happens, that happens, or this happens. And I'm just kind of curious now because it felt like for the longest time that it was eventually going to be Josh Allen winning a championship. He's now almost, I think he's gonna be 30 years old next year. Is he actually going to win a championship? That's kind of a scary thought for Bills fans. Obviously, I'm rooting for him. We'll see what they do in the offseason. Now, as for the Denver Broncos side of things, the Bo Nix injury is devastating. It is absolutely brutal for Denver because this team has been really bad. Since Peyton Manning won that championship and then went on to retire, the team has not been good. Bo Nix has brought this team back and has been really the focal point of that offense. He was really, really good in this game, kept them in this one, made some nice throws, led them to a game-winning drive in overtime, and was steady throughout the day. And by the way, had he not broken his ankle, I would have come on here and defended Bo Nix with my life. But of course, the fact that he's not playing in next week's game, we don't have to talk about that so much. But heading into this game versus Buffalo, my God, people were talking about Bo Nix as if he was inept at quarterback. And I think in this game, Bo proved that he is a quality playoff quarterback, that he can be up to par in a game versus a high-level team like Buffalo. It's just a shame he's not going to be able to prove that next week versus, the New England Patriots. With that said, I do think Stidham is a quality backup quarterback. Like, I could see Stidham finding a way to get this team a win next week. I don't completely count out the Denver Broncos at all. Obviously, the Patriots will be favored, and I think rightfully so, just based off the quarterback play. But I do think Stidham is a quality backup quarterback. And to be honest with you, I actually, before they drafted Bo Nix, was kind of curious to see what Stidham could look like as the full-time starter. So I'm really interested to see what he looks like in this high-stakes situation where you're going to be at home going up against a younger Patriots team that has shown weaknesses. I really do wonder if Stidham can steady the ship, keep the team on track, and maybe win the game. I don't think Denver is out of this game versus New England at all. We'll get to that prediction here in a couple of days, but yeah, I mean, the Broncos did a great job defensively of just doing what they could. This is a really good Bills offense. They weren't going to stop them, but if they could force some turnovers and get after Josh Allen, which is what they did, maybe they had a chance in this one. And by the way, like, what a turnaround from one year to the next year. Last year in the playoffs, the Broncos got smoked and it was not even a game in the second half. This year, they won the game in overtime. I mean, it's just a really impressive turnaround from Denver. And I don't think that they're out of this race yet. I think Stidham can hold this ship steady, and I would not count them out next week. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks dominate the San Francisco 49ers 41-6. This was definitely the low point of this week, and I think a lot of us expected it. I'll tell you for sure, just kind of, my mental process when I do my predictions. This is the one game. By the way, I think I was like off on all my predictions but this game, because I thought the Bills were going to win. I picked the Texans to win, and I picked the Bears to win. So I went 1-3 this week. This was the one game I got right. And of course, I think this one was the most obvious game prediction-wise. And there was a few reasons why. Number one, we just saw this matchup like 3 weeks ago, and Seattle kind of dominated that game. The only reason why it wasn't a bigger blowout was the fact that Seattle just didn't convert when they got towards the red zone. They made some mistakes. So in my head, I was like, as long as Seattle can, stay steady, keep the thing on track, get the ball into the end zone when you're in the red zone, they would win this game handily. Then you also throw on all the injuries that San Francisco had, and, one of the bigger ones being the George Kittle injury. But still, heading into this game, there was some conversation about Sam Darnold's oblique injury, and so the question was, how much was that going to hinder him? And if it does hinder him, does that allow San Francisco to have a chance in this game? Because San Francisco is an opportunistic team. And then from play one of this game, it was done. The Shaheed kickoff return, it kind of completely iced the game out because the crowd went nuts. They're already up 7-0. San Francisco's best chances of winning this game was for this one to be a rock fight, for this one to go into the fourth quarter and see if Brock Purdy can be the last person with the ball in his hands. With that 7-0 lead and all the momentum, all the noise and everything going against San Francisco, it was an uphill battle, and of course, it was never really that close. Seattle didn't even really need Sam Darnold in this game. He was efficient out there, 12 of 17 for 124 and a touchdown, but they ran the ball so well with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet before I believe he got injured. But the special teams play to start the game off, I mean, that was just a chef's kiss. San Francisco, I mean, they stood no chance in this one. And it's unfortunate. If this San Francisco team had Fred Warner, had Nick Bosa, if they had Brandon Ayuk, if they had Ricky Pearsall the whole season, if Christian McCaffrey didn't get hurt in this game, and they've been 100%, I think San Francisco would have made this thing a whole lot closer, but there was no way they were going to overcome all these injuries. I don't care how good you are schematically, how great of a head coach you have. If you're going up against a team with the talent of Seattle and the coaching staff of Seattle, it's just very difficult to win these games. Sure, they won the first matchup earlier in the season, but that was before San Francisco went down with all the injuries they would go on to have. Again, you lost your two best players, arguably your three best players for a big chunk of this game because McCaffrey was missing time and he was not 100%. He was kind of very quiet out there. No Fred Warner, and I'll give Fred Warner credit. He was on the sideline coaching them up. I respect the hell out of that guy. And then, of course, Nick Bosa, your best pass rusher. They legitimately stood no chance in this game. And, Seattle just went out there and kicked their ass. I mean, what does San Francisco do now? I mean, it kind of feels like, if you're a basketball fan, the Niners might be kind of like the Los Angeles Clippers, where it's like, hey, we have James Harden, we have Kawhi Leonard, we have this guy, and this guy. If we can stay healthy, we might be able to make a deep playoff run. That's going to be the question for San Francisco. Can they stay healthy? Can Purdy put a full season out there? Can McCaffrey put a full season out there and not get hurt? Can they get some quality play from Ricky Pearsall? Can they get guys like George Kittle back, which, by the way, torn Achilles? He's probably out for a big chunk of next year, if not the entire season. And he's one of your best players. Can you get Warner, Nick Bosa to all be healthy? And another thing, too, that kind of sucks for San Francisco. I mean, it sucks, but it's also a good thing. They were so good this year, and they played so much better than what their talent looked like on the field, that they're not going to have a top 20 pick. They're going to have like the 26th or 7th pick or something along those lines. I don't know what pick they have, but it's late in the 20s. So instead of being able to kind of, retool the roster around these draft capital, you have what is really just kind of an early day 2 pick. So it's unfortunate, man. San Francisco's in a really tough spot. They don't have a ton of financial flexibility because they are such a high-paid team with a number of quality guys, and you don't have insane draft capital either like you did last year. And then, of course, last year you took Micah Williams, which didn't really work out this year. So we'll see what San Francisco does. As for Seattle, I think as of right now, they are probably my favorite to win the Super Bowl if they can stay healthy. I mean, we'll have to wait and see because they have a tough matchup ahead. We'll talk about the Rams here in a second, but I think Seattle has a really good path to a potential championship run if they can keep things on track. Next up, the New England Patriots defeat the Houston Texans 28-16. This was one of the sloppiest games I've ever seen from both sides of the field, mainly the Houston Texans side of things, but also on the Patriots side of things. I get it. It's wet. It's cold. I understand. I hate playing in cold weather. I hate going outside to walk my dogs in cold weather. I get it. But it felt like every other drive, it was an interception or it was a fumble. And I mean, this was some ugly football. But sometimes ugly football in these type of games are actually really, really fun. And this game kind of was that. Now, let's talk about the Houston Texans side of things, and then we'll talk about the Patriots side of things. Let's talk about CJ Stroud. Now, I want to say this. CJ Stroud's still a great quarterback, for me at least. I still trust CJ Stroud long term. If I'm a Texans fan, I'm not out on CJ Stroud. I think that's a ridiculous thing to even suggest. But today, and honestly last week too, was pretty unacceptable from CJ Stroud. I mean, 4 interceptions in this game. Not all of them were on CJ, but I would say 2 or 3 of them were. Actually, I would say probably 3 of them were. You know, one of them, I can't even remember what happened. He's like running around, throws it up, it gets tipped. That's just a bad ball. He had one where he placed the ball way too far inside. One was tipped, and the tipped one you don't put on him, but still 3-ish of the 4 were his fault. He got sacked a lot in this one. And instead of putting it all on CJ, and trust me, we're going to give CJ his flack too, because he 100% deserves it. I think that this is sort of one of those things where CJ never got comfortable because he's never had good offensive line play since his rookie season. His rookie season, when he had his best year of his career, he had a good offensive line. Or maybe not good, it was a serviceable offensive line. Since then, he's had really bad offensive line play. And even though the offensive line play was a little bit better this year because they were able to find a starting 5 that was serviceable, it was just not good enough for a playoff environment. They got killed out there. And it's not like New England has TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, Micah. Like, they have K'Lavon Chaisson and Tonga and Christian Barmore. And, you get my point. I mean, this was just one of those things where it's like, you're not going up against world beaters. You're not going up against game wreckers. And that offensive line just couldn't protect him. And when they were protecting him, CJ, because he's had such bad offensive line play the past, year or 2 years or so, he just looked uncomfortable. He never looked poised in the pocket. And by the way, I also think he had a hand injury too in this one because he was missing throws that typically CJ would make. So look, I'm not out on CJ. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he has to play better than this. But I also think Houston themselves, the front office, the coaches, etc., have to do their young quarterback a nice service here too by reinvesting on the offensive line. We'll talk about the Bears here in a second, but look at how that offensive line performed this season for Caleb Williams, and they were able to do that in one off season. Now, I know Houston doesn't have the cap flexibility of those guys, but they should have enough cap flexibility. They're not paying CJ Stroud $60 million. So I want to see Houston go out there and retool this offensive line with actual players, not, who's of names, actually quality guys, a quality tackle, a quality center, a quality guard, etc., etc. Use your draft picks on it. You have a couple second-round picks, do that. Support your young quarterback. You have the weapons. You have Higgins. You have Dalton Schultz. You have Nico Collins. I think Woody Marks looks really good. Maybe you want to give him a Jonah Coleman too. Sure, throw that in there, but give him an offensive line. I think that's the best way for Houston to go forward because that defense is really good. And unfortunately for Houston, this kind of felt like their best opportunity. And next year, you have to expect other teams to be better. So I am a little bit worried about that for the Houston Texans side of things. But their defense is so good. I think they'll be back in the mix next year. Please protect CJ Stroud. Now, as for the Patriots side of things, some ugly football on that side too. A lot of fumbles from Drake May yet again. Pressure was on him all night. The left side of that offensive line is very young and they don't look 100%, and they're not protecting, their young quarterback the way you'd want them to. Still, one May is being given time in the pocket. He's processing well. He's making some nice plays. He played well in this one outside of the fumbles and the interception. They also ran the ball very well too in this one with Ramondre Stevenson and Travion. I guess Travion not so much at 25 yards on 12 carries, but Ramondre Stevenson definitely had himself a day. Stephon Diggs, good game. Kayshon Boutte, good game. By the way, the celebrations, y'all are freaky. But the defense really balled out in this one, just putting CJ on his back multiple times, over and over again. And, as for the Patriots, we'll talk about their matchup with Denver next week or sometime this week. But I got to be honest with you, I don't love that matchup for New England because I just look at that game and I say, you had multiple fumbles in this one versus Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. Well, next week you have Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, Nick Bonito, etc., Jonathan Cooper that can all do the exact same thing. I worry a little bit about Drake May in terms of like, can he hold on to the football? Can they protect the football? And then can they protect Drake May? We'll talk about that game obviously in our predictions video here in a few days though. All in all, I mean, the New England Patriots are freaking back, man. Somehow, some way. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm 23 years old. Since 2002, when I was born, up to this point, the height of my Cowboys tenure was 2014 and 2016, when the Cowboys made it to, I think, the divisional round in both those games. The Patriots in my lifetime have won 6 championships with Tom Brady and are now, with 4 or 5 years past Brady, they now get the next guy in Drake May, who leads them to an AFC championship game, and they have a matchup versus the Denver Broncos, who, by the way, have turned their team around in the same amount of time that I've been born too, but now they have a great chance of making it to a freaking Super Bowl because they're going up against a backup quarterback. Patriots fans, you guys are the most spoiled son of a guns out there. I better never hear one bad thing about your franchise ever. If you're a Patriots fan, ever. But lastly, let's go and talk about the Los Angeles Rams defeating the Chicago Bears 20-17. Man, this was a roller coaster of a game. What a fun game, man, from start to definitely the finish. Let's start off with the Bears side of things here. I kind of like talking about the losers first. Caleb Williams, man, is fantastic, but also so frustrating at times because in this game, he had the 3 interceptions. The last one, I'm not sure if it was all his fault because I thought DJ Moore gave really poor effort on that play. You want to see your guys running full, especially on that down and distance. But at the same time, I kind of felt like they could have ran a different play there. I'm not sure what that was going on there. But still, it's frustrating because it's like Caleb will have these interceptions and have these super easy missed throws. But then he'll make that 4th down touchdown throw to tie the game up. And it's like, my God, this guy has unbelievable arm talent, but he's so frustrating at times. But I'll tell you what about Caleb Williams, man. He is one of the clutchest quarterbacks out there today. If he can just get a bit more comfortable in the system, continue to get better at getting to his reads, getting through progressions faster, being a bit more accurate in the underneath and intermediate stuff, man, he's going to be a problem. I would already kind of put his name around the top 10 quarterback conversation because of what he's done this year. I think if he puts it together and starts playing even better next year, it's not going to be a conversation. This Bears team, man, they're young. They have so many things going for them, and they're just going to be even better this next year. They're going to shore up the defense, add maybe some help on the defensive line, add a linebacker or two. Maybe, I don't know what they can do on the offensive line, but add a left tackle or something like that. Like, they're set up so nicely long term, and I think Caleb is just going to get better and better and better, and this is such great playoff experience for him. It's a shame that it ended the way it did because, man, it looked so good for Chicago in that overtime, and then the interception happens, and it's just a bad play by both DJ and Caleb on that one too. But yeah, man, they proved me wrong this year. Colston Loveland was great. He, 4 for 56. DeAndre Swift has been awesome for this team. Kyle Monangai made multiple big time plays. Caleb was a clutch per usual. Again, you want to see him play a little bit better, but it's good Rams defense, man. Yeah, it's just a shame that it ended that way for Chicago. But and on the flip side for the Los Angeles Rams, sorry if my analysis of this game, it's like the game just literally happened right as I'm recording this. As for the Rams side of things, I mean, Matthew Stafford really, not his best game. I feel like so far in the playoffs, the Rams haven't been great, but they've just kind of been getting by, and they kind of did so in this one. Matthew Stafford, 20 of 42 for 258. Their offense kind of went quiet in that 3rd quarter until they had to make some plays in the 4th when they were able to make some actual plays. But you know what? You get the ball first in overtime, 3 and out. And I also thought there was some kind of questionable play calling from Sean McVay, a little bit of some conservative football, especially later in the game when the Bears had a timeout left and you decided to run the football on, I think, 3rd and 10 or something like that. Knowing the Bears' history, I just didn't quite understand that play call, but it ended up working out. You get the job done. They played great in that 2nd drive in overtime. Puka Nacua was great. Hopefully Devontae gets more involved in the passing games. He had obviously the best catch of the game for that for the Rams, but I felt like, I mean, 6 targets, 2 catches, 24 yards. You want to get Adams a bit more involved, and we'll see what ends up happening there. But guys, that was the divisional round. What a crazy set of games. I'm so excited for the conference championships. I don't know who I'm going to predict in those ones, but lots of great storylines. We'll get my predictions video out on Thursday. If you guys are new and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, because I would appreciate that a ton. And I love you guys. Peace.